If he's in a committee and he's questioning people who are trying to get some appointment to get confirmed for some appointment by somebody, I make sure I tune in. You make sure you go and see all the videos. This is Senator John Kennedy. He, of course, from the great state of Louisiana, Republican. Senator, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Joe, thank you for having me. You're a rock star, man. I love your show.
Well, I appreciate that so much. You know, when I watch you show up in these committees and I see you go through very, very methodically, but with this great, like, neighborly, I don't know, attenuation. These people don't know what to do with you. So how much preparation goes into you sitting in front of or on that committee in front of these people who want to be a judge or want to be a prosecutor, want to be something? Is it a lot of preparation? Do you just gloss over their career? Because you seem to know everything, but you seem to be just doing it casually as you sit there.
Well, I wish I had more time to prepare. Maybe 2 hearings out of 10, I have time to prepare, Joe. But most of the time you're running from hearing to hearing. My staff has done some research on the applicant. If I'm lucky, I've had a chance to read it, but a lot of times I just do it on the fly. The secret is to actually ask questions.
Right.
So many senators just give speeches, and you can't find out what a witness is like unless you let them talk. And so that's what I try to do.
Well, I think you're 1,000% right. You literally are trying to gain information from the questions, and the way that you deliver them is in such a friendly way. Even if you're going to corner them, and you do quite often, they have no real reason to not answer the question. You're not attacking them. You're not being aggressive about it. You know, you'll say, in 1997, did you do that? Was that you? And what did that mean? And I'm like, well, they can't not answer you because you weren't going crazy. And oftentimes, and probably every time, they show up with standard answers to questions they think they're going to get. So is the challenge for you when you sit there to make sure it's not a standard question?
Well, I have my own file of questions that I put together myself. Generally, just questions about the law, questions about legal issues, questions that a good lawyer will have thought about. And then my staff, I tell them before every hearing, check the witnesses' social media. You'll be amazed what people, or maybe you wouldn't, Joe, put on social media and then think that nobody is going to find it. And that's always a source that I can go to, usually, to impeach a witness. But I don't go in trying to be mean.
Right.
In most cases, it's the witness that hangs himself or herself, not me. They just They do though. They have canned answers, and I try to make sure I give them something new and different.
I don't think you've ever been mean, that's for sure. There was a guy recently that you went back and forth with that really, really gruff, sort of this kind of guy, and you handled him perfectly. And I think by the end of it, you said, "You're kind of crazy, aren't you?" And everybody watching was going, "Is he going to call him crazy because he's acting crazy right now?"
Yeah,
all that's off the cuff, right?
Yes, he's a professor in a law school. He's often wrong, but never in doubt. And I think I called him a whack job.
That's exactly right.
But only after he demonstrated to everybody watching
he
was a whack job.
Yeah, he proved himself to be a whack job, and you said the obvious. I want to bring up something really stupid, and I want to say this. I don't think she's stupid. This is a rich kid, grew up on the outskirts of St. Louis. She went to private school for $38,000 a year. I could never have done that. I mean, I make a good living. My kids go to public school. And now she's acting as stupidly as she possibly can. I'm talking, of course, about from right here in Texas, Jasmine Crockett. She was on a podcast yesterday or the day before, and the podcast host was somebody I'd never seen before, and he said, correct me if I'm wrong, the Republicans have the Senate, the House, and the presidency. How is it that the Democrats shut down the government? Now, Jasmine Crockett, who I don't think is stupid, but is very good at acting stupidly, literally said, you ain't got it wrong. Y'all ain't got it wrong. And then she speaks in this language that she doesn't really speak. And they both go on about how you and the Republicans somehow shut down the government. Now, she knows there's a filibuster. She knows you need 60 to break the filibuster. She knows this thing passed the House. So is it just an act of being, pretending like you're stupid, thinking that the audience is also just as dumb as you're acting?
Well, I don't know the Congresswoman, and certainly she has the right to her opinion. But if she would simply put down her juice box and her crayons and just do a little reading about how the Senate operates, in order to take action in the Senate, you have to have 60 votes. Republicans have 53 votes. So we're 7 votes short. Duh. And that's how Senator Schumer could shut down the government. As soon as he provides those 7 votes, we can open up the government, Congresswoman. I don't know the Congresswoman. I want to think the best of her because I don't hate anybody.
Right.
So I won't say she's stupid, but her commitment to acting stupid sometimes is very impressive.
I guess that was my point. I think you answered it, but I'm going to ask it again because I'm kind of stupid. These people are acting that way. They can't possibly be that dumb, right? You can't like Ilhan Omar can't really think that Charlie Kirk was this racist, misogynist, anti-everything guy. She can't really think that Frankenstein's monster killed Frankenstein, can she? Or is she just so filled with hate that maybe she does believe
No,
it?
here's what I think is going on. And it's not just the Congresswoman. It's many, not all, but many of my colleagues, usually Democratic colleagues. They think the American people are stupid.
Gotcha.
They think the American people don't get it. Now, it's true that the American people don't have time to sit there and listen to a bunch of politicians honking on like a goose all day because they're too busy earning a living.
Right.
But the American people figure it out. But many of my Democratic colleagues think they're smarter and more virtuous than the American people. They think they'll believe anything. And so they think the American people, since my Democratic colleagues are smarter and more virtuous than them, that they think the American people ought to just send all their money and all their freedom to Washington and let Washington, D.C. make decisions for them. And that's really their attitude. They think the federal government is what makes America great. They're wrong. It's ordinary people doing an extraordinary thing, but they have a very, very elitist, jaundiced, incorrect view of America.
You know, Joe, folks ask me all the time, Senator, how do you always seem so prepared in those hearings? Truth is, I wish I had more time to prepare. Maybe 2 out of 10 hearings I actually do. The rest of the time, I'm running from one room to the next like a chicken at the county fair. My staff does their research, I skim what I can, and then I just go in and ask questions. That's the secret. Ask real questions. You don't learn a thing listening to yourself give a speech. Some of my colleagues treat hearings like it's open mic night at the Senate Cafe. You can't figure out what a witness is like unless you let them talk. And trust me, most of the time, if you let them talk long enough, they'll hang themselves. I don't try to be mean. I really don't. I don't hate anybody. But some people's commitment to acting stupid is just remarkable. Take that congresswoman from Texas, Ms. Jasmine Crockett. Bless her heart. She said Republicans shut down the government even though the Democrats run the Senate and the White House. Now, I don't know the lady, but if she'd just put down her juice box and crayons for 5 minutes and read how the Senate works, she'd learn you need 60 votes to move a bill. Republicans got 53. That's 7 short. Duh. I'm not saying she's dumb. I'm saying she acts like it. And she's not alone. A lot of folks up here think the American people are stupid. They think you don't get it. Now, it's true, the American people don't have all day to listen to politicians honk on like a goose. They're too busy earning a living, but they figure it out. My Democratic colleagues, bless their hearts, think they're smarter and more virtuous than everyone else. They want you to send them all your money and your freedom, and let Washington run your life. They think government makes America great. They're wrong. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. That's what makes America great. And here's the deal. Right now, Chuck Schumer's so scared of AOC, he can't sneeze without asking her permission. She's the quarterback of the Democratic Party, the socialist wing, the loon wing, whatever you want to call it. They've taken over the team. If Chuck told his senators to join the Taliban, I think half of them would ask, where's the line? He's got himself in a corner, and I think he knows it. I think before this is over, he's gonna have to go to 6 or 8 Democrats and whisper, y'all vote to end the shutdown for me. I'll vote no, but I'll thank you later. He'll still vote against it, mind you. Gotta look tough for the cameras. But deep down, he'll know he mismanaged it. He'll know he misjudged it. And when that day comes, I hope somebody looks at him and says, Chuck, sit down, son, and try harder not to suck. Because this whole thing, this whole shutdown, it's not about principle, it's about fear. Fear of AOC, fear of losing Twitter followers, fear of telling the truth. Meanwhile, cities like Chicago are going to hell in a handbasket. You got a mayor there who, when his IQ gets to 75, ought to sell. People are leaving, schools are failing, and they still won't take help because it comes from the wrong person. If President Trump came out in favor of breathing, Governor Pritzker would hold his breath. That's how dumb it's gotten. You don't have to hate a man to agree with him once in a while. Mayor Bowser figured that out in D.C. She took Trump's help, lowered crime, and everybody won. That's what leadership looks like. Look, I'm an optimist. I'm an optimist who worries, but still an optimist. Sooner or later, the good people in Chicago, Portland, and every other city will say, enough. They'll realize they don't have to live in fear. They'll remember that common sense still works. Until then, I'll keep asking questions, politely, but persistently, because that's how you get the truth out of folks. And if Washington doesn't like that, well, they can put it in their pipe and smoke it.